The breaking point. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Ganymede Station, her reflection ghosting against the reinforced transparent steel as she watched the Confederation warships arrive. They emerged from their quantum tunnels like predatory fish, surfacing from dark waters, their crystalline hulls refracting Jupiter's light in ways that had once seemed beautiful to her. Now they only looked threatening. They're forming a blockade pattern, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station. 17 capital ships, Commander. More than twice the number specified in the diplomatic notification. Sarah's jaw tightened. After 15 years of serving as humanity's primary liaison with the Galactic Confederation, she had learned to read between the lines of their formal declarations. This wasn't a routine inspection as they'd claimed. This was something else entirely. Status of the civilian research vessels, she asked, though she already knew the answer. The Confederation's arrival had been too quick, too coordinated. Still processing evacuation orders, Commander. The Hawking and the Curie have families aboard. Children. They need at least 30 minutes to reach safe jump distance. They didn't have 30 minutes. Sarah knew that with a certainty that made her stomach clench. She'd seen that particular formation of Confederation ships only once before, during a classified briefing about the extinction of the Arcturian species. The Confederation had judged them too dangerous to exist. The quantum comm crackled to life, and First Speaker Zixtal's hologram materialized in the center of the command deck. The alien's crystalline form pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as barely contained contempt. Commander Chen. The First Speaker's translation matrix rendered its words in perfect English. Our sensors detect unauthorized quantum research activities in this sector. Your species was explicitly forbidden from pursuing such technologies without oversight. Sarah kept her voice steady, professional. First Speaker, we have followed every protocol established in the Technology Development Treaty of 2157. Our research has been fully documented and shared with. Do not insult us with your deceptions. The First Speaker's crystal matrix flashed dangerous reds and oranges. We have observed your kind for 3 centuries, Commander. You cloak your predatory nature behind diplomacy, but we know what humanity truly is. Your species emerged from a death world, evolved as pack hunters. You cannot help but pose a threat to galactic peace. The first energy lance struck before Sarah could respond. The Hawking Research Station, carrying over 300 civilians, erupted in a flash of quantum fire. No warning, no chance for surrender, just death, cold and calculated. Sarah felt something break inside her as she watched families, children, colleagues she'd known for years, vanish in an instant. But the breaking wasn't despair. It was the last thread of restraint that humanity had maintained for 3 centuries. She turned to her communications officer. Send emergency code Omega. Authorization, Chen 772 Prometheus. Commander. Rodriguez's eyes widened. That's the... Yes. Sarah watched as the Curie station tried desperately to escape, only to be caught in another energy lance. It's time they learned why Earth has never needed their protection. The First Speaker's hologram flickered with what might have been amusement. Your emergency codes are meaningless, Commander. Your planet is already under quarantine. The human threat will be contained, as it should have been centuries ago. Sarah actually smiled then, a small, cold expression that made the First Speaker's crystalline form pulse with sudden uncertainty. You know, in all your studies of humanity, there's one cultural reference I don't think you ever truly understood. And what is that, Commander? Pandora's box. Sarah pressed her palm against the quantum scanner hidden in her command console. Across the solar system, buried beneath ice and rock and ocean, humanity's true defensive grid began to wake. You shouldn't have killed those children. The First Speaker's dismissive response died in its translation matrix as new signatures appeared on every Confederation scanner. They emerged from dimensional spaces that Confederation science had deemed impossible, sleek, dark vessels of unmistakably human design. Ships that shouldn't exist, powered by technologies that the Confederation had thought were centuries beyond humanity's grasp. Impossible, the first speaker whispered. Your species shares all technological developments. It is required by treaty. We monitor your research, your development, We shared exactly what we wanted you to see. Sarah's voice was arctic. For 300 years, we showed you outdated tech, played the part of the grateful younger species, all because we chose peace. We chose cooperation. Until today. The new human ships moved with impossible grace, their quantum drives operating on principles that made the Confederation's best scientists stare in slack-jawed horror. But it wasn't just their technology that struck fear into the watching aliens. It was the names written on their hulls in multiple languages. Ni VR again. Remember the Shachil Duran. Humanity, UNCHAAET. You had one job. Sarah continued as the first speaker's hologram began to flicker with genuine fear. Just one. Don't give humanity a reason to show you why we survived a death world. Don't make us demonstrate exactly how we became the apex predators of Earth. And you couldn't even manage that. The Confederation ships began to retreat, their quantum tunnels flaring as they attempted emergency jumps. None of them made it. Human vessels emerged from dimensional pockets that shouldn't exist, their weapons operating on principles that violated what the Confederation considered possible. Commander, the first speaker's voice had lost all its arrogance. We can negotiate. We can. 342 children. Sarah cut him off. That's how many were aboard those research stations. Remember that number. It's going to become very important in the history books. She terminated the quantum link and opened a channel to Earth's hidden fleet. This is Commander Chen to all vessels. The Confederation has broken the peace we maintained for 3 centuries. They've murdered our children and declared their intention to contain humanity. Sarah paused, thinking of all the faces she'd known aboard those stations, the families that had trusted in peace. You have your orders. Show them exactly why Earth never needed their protection. Show them why humanity chose peace rather than being forced into it. Execute Operation Prometheus. As the human fleet engaged, Sarah sent one final message, broadcast on all frequencies in every known language. To all civilian vessels and non-hostile species, Earth extends asylum. You are not responsible for the crimes of your leaders, but to the Confederation itself. You wanted to see humanity's true nature. Congratulations. You're about to. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries as the day the galaxy learned why humans smile when they're angry. It wasn't the beginning of a war. It was the end of an illusion, and the start of a new galactic order. One built on the ashes of those who had forgotten that humanity's peace was a choice, not a necessity. And in the observation deck of Ganymede Station, Commander Sarah Chen watched it all begin, her reflection in the transparent steel now overlaid with the flames of justice long delayed, but finally unleashed. Hidden strength. Dr. James Martinez stood in the heart of Project Prometheus, 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor. For 30 years, he'd worked in this secret facility, developing technologies that the Confederation had deemed impossible. Now, as emergency code Omega flashed across every screen in the complex, he finally understood why. Status report. He called out to his team, watching as decades of preparation began to unfold. The vast chamber hummed with power that didn't officially exist, drawn from quantum dimensions that humanity had discovered but never revealed. Dimensional anchors are active across all sectors. Dr. Yuki Sato reported from her station, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The Confederation's quantum detection grid is still blind to our existence. They have no idea what's about to hit them. James nodded, his mind racing through the implications of what they were about to unleash. The Confederation had always assumed they knew the full extent of human technological development. After all, the Technology Development Treaty required full disclosure of all scientific advances. What they hadn't realized was that humanity had been researching in directions that the Confederation had never even imagined. "Signal from Commander Chen confirmed," announced Dr. Wei Chang, his usual jovial expression replaced with grim determination. "They killed everyone on the research stations. Children, James. They murdered children." The room fell silent for a moment. They'd all known this day might come. The Confederation's arrogance had been building for decades, their fear of humanity's potential growing despite all attempts at peaceful cooperation. But none of them had expected such brutality. "Initialize the Prometheus grid," James ordered, placing his hand on the quantum scanner. Around the world, in similar facilities hidden beneath mountains, oceans, and Arctic ice, other teams were doing the same. "Show me the full deployment map." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, showing Earth and its surrounding space. Red dots indicated Confederation forces, their quarantine fleet growing by the minute as more ships arrived through quantum tunnels. But beneath that visible layer, represented by blue lines of light, sprawled humanity's true defensive network. "They really have no idea, do they?" Dr. Sato whispered, watching as the hidden infrastructure they'd spent decades building began to power up. "All those technologies we shared with them were carefully chosen." James completed her thought. "Advanced enough to maintain our position in the Confederation, but primitive compared to our actual capabilities. Every piece of technology we shared was designed to guide their research in specific directions. Directions that would leave them blind to what we were really developing." The first wave of humanity's hidden fleet was already engaging the Confederation forces near Jupiter. James watched as ships equipped with true quantum drives, not the simplified versions they'd shared with the aliens, executed maneuvers that should have been impossible. The Confederation vessels, for all their crystalline beauty, might as well have been sailing ships trying to fight jet aircraft. "Dimensional pocket arrays are online," Dr. Chang reported, "ready to deploy the rest of the fleet." James took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change the galaxy forever. Humanity had maintained peace for 3 centuries, sharing limited technology, while quietly preparing for exactly this scenario. The Confederation had mistaken that peace for weakness, that preparedness for paranoia. "Execute full deployment," he ordered. "Authorization Martinez Alpha 001. Across the solar system, dimensional pockets began to open, spaces that existed between conventional reality, hiding places that the Confederation's science insisted couldn't exist. From these impossible spaces emerged humanity's true military might, ships that could manipulate gravity itself, weapons that could redirect quantum energy, defensive systems that made even light bend around them. "Sir," Dr. Sato's voice was quiet but urgent, "we're detecting quantum communication attempts from multiple non-Confederation species. They're requesting asylum." James nodded. They'd predicted this too. Not every species in the galaxy agreed with the Confederation's policies. "Direct them to the safe coordinates and activate the translation matrix. Let them hear this." He opened a channel to all frequencies, his voice carried across quantum streams that the Confederation couldn't block. "To all species witnessing these events, what you are seeing is not the full extent of human capabilities. It is merely the end of our patience. For 3 centuries, we chose peace. We chose cooperation. The Confederation has forced us to choose differently." On the tactical display, human vessels continued to emerge from dimensional pockets, their numbers far exceeding anything the Confederation had believed possible. Each ship represented a technology that humanity had developed in secret, a capability that they had hidden beneath a carefully maintained facade of limited advancement. "Dr. Martinez," Commander Chen's voice came through on a secure channel. "The Prometheus grid is performing beyond expectations. The Confederation fleet near Jupiter has been completely neutralized. No civilian casualties." "Understood, Commander." James watched as more Confederation ships arrived, their formations growing desperate as they realized the extent of their miscalculation. "Deploying Phase 2 countermeasures now." The Prometheus grid activated its final protocols, sending waves of quantum disruption across space. Confederation ships found their advanced weapons suddenly useless. Their quantum tunnels collapsed, their communication networks severed. It wasn't just superior technology they were facing. It was technology designed specifically to counter their every capability. They're broadcasting surrender signals, Dr. Chang reported, a note of satisfaction in his voice. Multiple Confederation worlds are requesting immediate cessation of hostilities. James studied the tactical display, watching as humanity's true power was finally revealed to the galaxy. Send them Commander Chen's coordinates. Let them learn what humanity's mercy looks like when it's earned rather than assumed. As the battle continued to unfold across the solar system, James thought about all the years of secret development, all the carefully hidden advances, all the technologies they'd kept concealed. The Confederation had feared what humanity might become, never realizing that their fear was 3 centuries too late. Log entry. He spoke to his personal recorder. Project Prometheus implementation date. The day the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest weapon was never our technology, it was our patience. Around him, in the hidden facility beneath the Pacific, humanity's true strength continued to power up, ready to reshape a galaxy that had mistaken preparation for submission and peace for weakness. The age of hiding was over. The time for truth had. The counterstrike. Admiral Yuki Tanaka watched from the bridge of the EFS Retribution as the first wave of humanity's counteroffensive took shape. The holographic tactical display showed thousands of ships emerging from dimensional pockets across the galaxy, each one representing a technology that the Confederation had never dreamed humanity possessed. Status of the Arcturus offensive, she asked, her voice carrying the weight of 3 centuries of preparation. Operation Shadowfall proceeding as planned, Admiral, reported Captain Michael O'Connor, his Irish accent thick with controlled anger. The Confederation's primary shipyards in the sector are already neutralized. Their quantum communication networks are dark. Yuki nodded, studying the real-time data streams. The Confederation was learning, too late, that humanity's shared technology had been carefully designed to create specific blind spots. Their sensors couldn't detect the true nature of human quantum drives. Their weapons couldn't penetrate defenses based on principles they'd never imagined. Message from the Confederation High Council, Lieutenant Emma Parker announced from her communication station. They're demanding to know how we achieved this level of technological advancement without detection. A cold smile touched Yuki's lips. Send them my response. You never asked the right questions. The tactical display updated, showing the systematic dismantling of Confederation military installations across 3 sectors. Human ships moved with impossible precision, their actions choreographed by quantum AI systems that had been hidden beneath Earth's oceans for decades. Admiral, Captain O'Connor's voice held a note of concern. We're detecting civilian populations on several of the Confederation's military installations. Deploy the extraction teams, Yuki ordered without hesitation. We're not them. Every civilian saved is a lesson in the difference between humanity's justice and their brutality. The response teams moved with practiced efficiency, using short-range dimensional shifts to evacuate civilian populations before any military strikes. Each rescue was broadcast on all frequencies, a pointed demonstration of humanity's capabilities and principles. Confederation forces in the Orion Spur are attempting to regroup, reported Commander Sarah Chen's voice over the quantum link. They're trying to adapt their tactics based on what they've seen. Let them try, Yuki responded, watching as another wave of human ships emerged from dimensional space. Activate the Prometheus protocols. Show them why we never needed their protection. Across the battlefield, human vessels began employing technologies that the Confederation had dismissed as theoretical impossibilities. Gravity itself bent around Earth's ships, quantum fields collapsed at precise coordinates, and space-time twisted in ways that sent Confederation scientists into panic. Signal from the Andorian Republic, Lieutenant Parker reported. They're formally withdrawing from the Confederation, and requesting neutral status. "Granted," Yuki commanded. "The same for any other species that chooses to stand down. This is justice, not vengeance." The distinction was important. Each human ship carried strict protocols about civilian casualties. Each weapon was precisely calibrated to minimize collateral damage. This wasn't about destruction. It was about dismantling the arrogance that had led to the deaths of innocent researchers and their children. "Admiral." O'Connor's voice held a mix of awe and satisfaction. "The Prometheus grid is fully operational. The Confederation's quantum tunnel network is completely under our control." This was the true extent of human advancement, not just superior weapons or defenses, but fundamental control over the very principles that the Confederation relied upon. Every quantum tunnel, every FTL communication, every advanced sensor network now operated only at humanity's discretion. "Send the second message," Yuki ordered. "All frequencies, all languages." Her voice carried across the quantum networks. "To the Galactic Confederation. Your military capabilities have been neutralized. Your technological advantages have been revealed as fragments of human science that we allowed you to see. You believed you were containing a potential threat. Instead, you were operating within parameters we designed centuries ago." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "But this demonstration of force is not our true strength. Our power lies in the choice we made 3 centuries ago. The choice to pursue peace despite having the capability for dominance. You have forced us to reveal this capability, but you have not changed our fundamental nature." The tactical display showed more Confederation worlds going dark as human ships systematically disabled their military infrastructure. Not through destruction, but through precise application of technologies that might as well have been magic to their defenders. Final report from Project Prometheus. Chen's voice came through again. "All primary objectives achieved. Confederation military capability reduced to pre-quantum levels across 87% of their territory." Yuki stood from her command chair, watching as the galaxy reshaped itself around humanity's revealed strength. "Begin Phase 3. Let's show them what reconstruction looks like when it's guided by compassion rather than fear." The EFS Retribution moved through space that bent around its hull, leading a fleet that represented not just humanity's military might, but their chosen path forward. They had prepared for war while praying for peace, developed weapons while hoping never to use them, and now they would demonstrate that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their capacity for mercy and victory. "Message from Earth Command," Lieutenant Parker announced. "They're ready to begin diplomatic initiatives with non-Confederation species." "Acknowledge," Yuki replied, her eyes on the tactical display where Confederation ships continued to surrender across multiple sectors. "Remind them of our core principle. We build the future we wish we'd found, not the one we feared we'd face." As the counterstrike continued its methodical advance, the galaxy witnessed something unprecedented. A species that had hidden its true strength not out of fear, but out of hope for a better future. The price of arrogance was being paid, but the currency wasn't destruction. It was understanding. The last chance. Ambassador Liu Wei stood before the emergency session of the Confederation Council, now convened aboard the neutral Andorian station. The crystalline beings who had once lorded their power over humanity now sat diminished, their arrogance shattered by 3 days of systematic demonstration of human superiority. "You see before you the consequences of assumption," Liu began, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. "But what you witness now is something far more important, the power of choice." The holographic displays around the chamber showed real-time footage of human ships assisting civilian evacuations, providing aid to damaged stations, and methodically dismantling military installations with surgical precision. Each image a carefully chosen message. First Speaker Zixtal, their crystalline form notably dimmer than in previous sessions, spoke first. "You had this power all along. You could have dominated the galaxy centuries ago. Why maintain the deception?" Liu allowed himself a small smile. Because domination was never our goal. Humanity emerged from a death world, yes. We evolved as predators, true. But we also evolved something else, the capacity to choose a better path. The chamber erupted in overlapping translations as various species tried to process this concept. Liu waited patiently, remembering Commander Chen's words about the children lost on those research stations, remembering why he was here. 300 years ago, he continued once the chamber quieted, humanity made a choice. We discovered quantum manipulation decades before we met the Confederation. We had developed dimensional pocket technology before your first ships entered our solar system. We could have emerged onto the galactic stage as conquerors. He gestured to a hologram showing human ships helping repair a damaged Confederation civilian station. Instead, we chose to test the galaxy's capacity for peace. We shared limited technology, played the role of the grateful younger species, and watched. We wanted to believe that advanced civilizations could coexist without dominance and submission. Then why reveal everything now? Asked a representative of the Proxian collective, their tentacles writhing with agitation. Why not continue the deception? Liu's expression hardened. Because you murdered children. Because you mistook patience for weakness, preparation for paranoia, and choice for necessity. But most importantly, because even now, even after everything, we're still choosing a better path. He activated his quantum communicator, and new images filled the chamber. Plans for reconstruction, technological specifications for medical advances, designs for renewable energy systems that the Confederation had never imagined possible. This is your last chance, Liu announced, not for survival. That was never in question. This is your chance to understand what real strength looks like. Every species in this chamber has something unique to offer. Every civilization has value. Even those who, until recently, thought their value gave them the right to judge who lives and who dies. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't offering mere mercy. They were offering partnership, but on new terms. Our terms are simple, Liu continued. The Confederation as it exists will be dissolved. A new Galactic Council will be formed, with representation from all species based on their contributions to collective welfare, not military might or technological advancement. Human oversight will ensure no species faces extinction for their potential. He paused, letting his gaze meet each delegate's. You fear our military capability. Look instead to our restraint. You fear our technological advancement. Look instead to our willingness to share. You fear our potential for violence. Look instead to our capacity for forgiveness. A new hologram appeared. The designs for the Prometheus grid, the very system that had allowed humanity to neutralize the Confederation's military power. But alongside it were plans for its conversion to civilian use. Power generation, medical applications, transportation networks. This is not a negotiation, Liu stated clearly. This is an invitation. Join us in building something better than conquest, something stronger than dominance. The galaxy you feared humanity would create was always a reflection of your own intentions. Now you have the chance to see the galaxy we actually want to build. First speaker Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been understanding. And if we refuse, then you'll be contained, Liu replied simply, not out of fear or vengeance, but because you've demonstrated you cannot be trusted with power over others. The choice, as always, is yours. The chamber erupted in discussion, but Liu could already see the shift in their energy patterns, their postures, their tones. They were beginning to understand that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their hidden technology or their military might. It had been their patient wait to see if the galaxy could mature beyond the need for such things. You have 24 hours to decide, Liu concluded, the same time you gave humanity before attacking our research stations. The difference is, when that time expires, we'll still be offering a path forward, because that's who we choose to be. As he left the chamber, Liu received a quantum transmission from Admiral Tanaka. Think they'll understand. Some will, he replied, watching the delegates argue among themselves. Others won't, but understanding was never a prerequisite for peace, only the willingness to try. Behind him, the future of the galaxy took shape in heated debates and desperate realizations. Humanity had revealed their strength, but more importantly, they had revealed their character. The price of arrogance had been paid in shattered certainties and broken assumptions. Now came the harder task, building something worthy of the lessons learned. New Dawn. Historical Archive entry number 547. Galactic date, 50 years post-revelation. Author, Junior Archivist Ziraval of the New Galactic Council. I touch my crystalline appendage to the quantum interface, still marveling at how different it feels from the technology my species once thought represented the peak of achievement. The human-designed systems respond to intention as much as physical contact, a subtle reminder of how much has changed in the 50 years since the event. My research assignment seems simple on the surface. Document the transformation of galactic society following humanity's revelation of their true capabilities. But like everything involving humans, the reality is far more complex than it first appears. I accessed the primary records from that pivotal period, and Ambassador Lu Wei's words echo through my consciousness. The galaxy you feared humanity would create was always a reflection of your own intentions. How right he was, though it took us decades to truly understand. The holograms spring to life around my research pod, showing the reconstruction period that followed the 3-day demonstration of human power. What strikes me most isn't the advanced technology they revealed, though that was revolutionary enough, but the systematic way they reorganized galactic society. First came the dissolution of the old Confederation. I watched footage of the crystalline towers of Station Zero being ceremonially deconstructed, not destroyed but transformed. Human quantum manipulation technology turned the same materials into medical facilities, research centers, and cultural exchange hubs. They didn't erase our past. They built upon it. Commander Sarah Chen, now Governor Chen of the Outer Rim Territories, appears in one recording. Our goal was never to replace one form of domination with another. Power isn't about control. It's about responsibility. The statistical data streams past my consciousness. Technological advancement rates up 300% across all member species, poverty rates down 78%, interspecies conflict reduced by 92%. But these cold numbers don't tell the real story. For that, I accessed the personal accounts. A Proxian child receiving medical treatment that would have been impossible under the old regime. A Sixtil researcher collaborating with human scientists, their combined insights revolutionizing quantum theory. An Andorian colony surviving what would once have been a catastrophic system failure, saved by technology that humanity had kept hidden for centuries, but now shared freely. Dr. James Martinez's words from the 30-year commemoration ceremony float through my mind. The real revolution wasn't in our technology. It was in showing the galaxy a different way to use power. I parsed through diplomatic records, noting the subtle way humans guided interspecies relations. They never demanded obedience, never lorded their superiority over others. Instead, they created systems that rewarded cooperation, innovation, and peaceful development. Species that once competed for resources now collaborated on massive engineering projects, their combined insights achieving things neither could have managed alone. Admiral Tanaka's quantum fleet, once the symbol of humanity's hidden might, had been transformed into an interspecies peacekeeping force. Their dimensional pocket technology, previously used to hide military assets, now formed the backbone of a galaxy-wide emergency response network. The true test of power, Admiral Tanaka had said, is not in how you obtain it, but in how you use it. My research turns to the educational reforms, perhaps humanity's most profound impact. Young members of every species now learn not just technology and science, but philosophy, art, and ethics. The human concept of choosing to be better than our instincts had transformed galactic culture at its core. I find myself particularly moved by the fate of my own species, the Sixtil. We who had once led the Confederation in its arrogance had perhaps the hardest journey of adaptation. Yet the humans never sought to humble us, never demanded reparations. Instead, they helped us channel our crystalline nature into new forms of quantum computing, turning our very biology from a source of pride into a gift we could share with others. Ambassador Liu Wei's last public address, given just before his retirement, captures the essence of the transformation. The price of arrogance wasn't paid in destruction or subjugation. It was paid in understanding. The currency wasn't blood or treasure, but wisdom. The latest reports from the outer regions still amaze me. Species that were once bitter enemies now collaborate on massive engineering projects. Technological advancement has accelerated beyond what even the humans predicted, driven by the combined insights of dozens of species working in genuine partnership. Yet humanity remains watchful. The Prometheus grid, converted largely to civilian use, still maintains its original capability. Human ships still patrol the dimensional pockets, their advanced technology a reminder of the power they choose not to use. Not out of weakness, but out of strength. As I compile my findings, I struggle to find the right words to convey the magnitude of the change. How do you document the transformation not just of technology or politics, but of consciousness itself? How do you measure the distance between what we feared humanity would be and what they helped us become? Perhaps that's why I'm drawn to the simple message carved into the base of the new council chamber, written in every known language. Power reveals. Choice defines. Peace endures. The humans had the power to dominate us, but they chose to wait and watch. When forced to reveal that power, they chose to use it for transformation rather than destruction. And in doing so, they taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all. True strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to build something better. End Historical Archive entry number 547A. Appended note. This document is part of the mandatory education curriculum for all species under the new Galactic Council Charter, as per Human Guidance Protocol 7. Remember, so we need not repeat.